Well, it finally happened. After 15 years, Bitcoin has finally entered into the mainstream. And it's a landmark moment. For better or worse, the SEC approval of ETFs in the United States legitimizes Bitcoin as an investment vehicle, and things are going to get even more interesting in the future. Of course, adoption is happening in other parts of the world as well. Argentina sees its first rental agreement to be paid in Bitcoin, and Poland is lining up to issue crypto regulation. A new device called the Rabbit has us very excited about having a personal AI assistant, and only 3 crypto bull dragons remain in the NFT collection that will allow holders to participate in a special meeting with your favorite Scottish landowners, your lards. Don't hit snooze. It's time for the news. Bad news, that is, on our Bitcoin Goes Mainstream episode number 709 of the Bad Crypto Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition.
Who's bad?
I feel like there should be fanfare and confetti everywhere because this is a huge moment in the world of cryptocurrency. We will mark the day that Bitcoin has gone mainstream. Here at the Bad Crypto Podcast, I'm Joel Comm. That's Travis Wright, your favorite Scottish lardasses on landowners. How you doing, Trav?
Is that the music you use? Is that? I think I look at it from a couple of different ways. Is that it could be really good for us long term, but then it's also wild to see governments getting their fingers entrenched into it all. And then there's another article we're going to talk about later on about how BlackRock CEO Larry Fink is like, I'm a big believer in Bitcoin. And like he was against it so much. And so something doesn't feel right to my spidey senses.
Once a Fink, always a Fink.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Finky
Rat Fink, you
McFinkerton.
dirty ratty Fink you. But I mean, you think about it, if the ETFs are legit and the money that going into it is going to hold Bitcoin, it could be very, very valuable. I mean, it could be a big thing. If it becomes a scenario and they just kind of pull the rug and now it becomes like paper silver or paper gold is, and it can be easily manipulated, that won't be good. So
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of looking at this as going, all right, well, I think this could be really good. I'm more excited about the halving, overall, but I do think that more and more people are going to look at Bitcoin and crypto as a legitimate industry. So I'm down with that.
And we'll have discussion about that. I'll see what I did have, because you said having. We'll have discussion about that. And we're going to take a look at the news. Make sure you stick around. There's only 3 crypto bull dragons left, and you're going to want to know how to get one so you can participate in a special meeting with Sir Lord Travis and myself. But now let's get to the news. The timing of the stamp is the 15th of January, 2024. We are officially in the future, folks. It is 2:12 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. CoinGecko says the market cap is $1.766 trillion. Bitcoin currently 42,736. Ethereum 2536. BNB 317. Solana 95. XRP inching up to 58 cents. Cardano 53 cents, and Avalanche is rounding out the top 10 at $36 with Dogecoin, Polkadot, Tron, and Chainlink not too far behind. Trav, it feels like every time we release an episode, there is then a big move. Like I think we released the episode and last week, Bitcoin was at 45. It went up to 49, like right after we released it. We're going to release this by the morning when the episode releases. We'll either be down to 38 or up to 45. I have no idea.
We are market movers, clearly. And you're welcome, folks. You're welcome. So there's been some big winners over the last week. So this last week is weird. We got big mass adoption, and then it hit a peak, and then it dropped down to. I think I saw Bitcoin go hit almost 40 at one point. Right? It does did a little dip, and then come back up. But over the last 7 days, the Ethereum name service ENS is up 74%, 166% over the last 30 days. Sui up 65%, up 120% over the last 30 days. So that's interesting. Over the last 7 days, helium is up 41%, down 10% though over the last 30 days. So that's a peculiar one. Celestia up 38%, Tezos up 35%. This one makes sense to me. Ethereum Classic up about 35% also. Blur, it was an NFT platform. The store that's up 33%. Bonk up 31%. So there's a lot of them that are sort of popping up and popping off. And so, it's interesting to watch this space. And, every time there's been a bull run, there's always some of these coins that end up just doing massive things. And so we're trying to figure out which one those are going to be, because every time it's a little bit different, and where you're going to hedge your bets and where you're going to put your cryptos at, folks. And so
Popping in and popping off. That's what
doing
Travis is
research.
doing. So JP Morgan, of course, Jamie Dimon still doesn't like Bitcoin, and yet they are taking plenty of their investors' money, and they're seeing a big move from their existing crypto products into the new Bitcoin spot ETFs. Up to $36 billion are what can be attracted, according to Grayscale's. Well, actually, who said this? A report. There's a report that said it. We don't know who the report is, but the report says they expect an inflow of 36 billion in Bitcoin because of these ETFs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a lot of money out there. If you think about it, like there's just trillions of dollars out there in these spaces. They're saying like, what's going on with some of this stuff here, some of these little products. 30 billion maybe might be inflowing, but over time, when you start throwing in Fidelity and some of these other ones, there's just going to be a huge shift. JP Morgan's saying there could be another 20 billion maybe coming in, and then Grayscale's having some interesting things going on as well, because there's a lot of people leaving that project right there. So I think that I got out of it before the ETF, which was not good, because then it ended up going up, but then it's gone back down.
Oh, actually, a lot of people are leaving Vanguard because Vanguard is saying they won't carry these crypto products at all. And so people that want to invest are like, well, I guess we'll take our money elsewhere. And I really hope they feel the pinch on it, that they end up bringing it back in. Meanwhile, as we discussed last week, the race is on, right? Because it's not exactly a zero-sum game, but there's only so many people willing to invest in these Bitcoin spot ETFs at the moment. And so you've got 11 different ETFs out there, and they are wanting to acquire those clients because, you can build a client for a lifetime, right? Especially if they put them into retirement or something. Apparently, the first day of Bitcoin spot ETF attracted $655 million in net flows. And you've got Bitwise, Fidelity, they're at the front, and the race is on. You could see the chart right here from that first day of what took place.
Yeah. It is definitely interesting to watch this thing go. And I think maybe there's too many of these right now. You know what I mean? I mean, look at like 95 billion outflowed from Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust, flowing into some of these other ones. And that was just in day one. And then over the course of the week, there's been, billions of dollars poured into this so far. And I think what we'll probably see, in my guess, Joel, I mean, like Wisdom Tree Bitcoin Fund, it didn't even get $1 million. Like some of these are just going to go away, right?
Well,
Some of the bigger ones, I would assume, over the maybe 6, 9, maybe.
I don't know. They might also have a slow game. They might not be rushing out to get it. You've got a lot of organizations and a lot of family offices that are going to be meeting over this. They're not just going to jump right in. They're going to like catch wind of the fact that, hey guys, this spot ETFs are now available. Let's discuss. Let's vote on this. Let's have decisions if we're going to put money into it. And I think we're going to see a slow and steady. What we did see is Bitcoin pop up to $49,000, and right now we're sitting at about 42 and a half. So the question was, is the news built into the price already? And the answer is yes. The news for the pending approval of the spot ETFs was built into the price. People are taking some profits, makes purple sense, also perfect sense. But if your sense is purple, it makes that also. But you are correct, Trav. The halving is due to happen in April sometime. In fact, I know you've got access to a site that tells you when that's supposed to happen. If you can find the countdown on that, I'd be really curious to know what the target date is. I believe it was somewhere near the end of April. And that has always been a bigger indicator of, where the bull market is going to take place than these ETFs. This ETF thing was just a bonus, and it's us entering into, the mainstream. But the halving, that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Well, someone that's saying this one right here, there's one on Nice Hash that tells us when we think it's probably going to be. I know I've seen late April, we've seen middle of May. Right now, it's targeting at May 14th, which
Okay.
is the current date. So about 100, by the time this thing releases, it'll be about 118 days away. So that's just depending on how long those blocks get solved, and it's not always as quick. Some of them they take a little bit longer. So we shall see. We will know this. We'll keep an eye on this. This is probably something that we will add to our Coin Gecko in the early part of each episode. We go, oh, only X amount of days left until Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
Shopping. It's good.
Now, we're always telling people not your keys, not your crypto, and that you should hold your crypto in a cold storage and not on exchanges. Well, with ETF custody, it's kind of similar, only you're not really holding the Bitcoin itself. And so there's an article here on Cointelegraph that kind of explains what is the difference between having your crypto on an exchange, and they're the custodian, versus having spot Bitcoin ETF custody. And
Yep.
so, what's your understanding, Trav, of, how ETF custody works?
Well, I wanted to sort of drill this down as if we were, 12 years old. And so
Well, we are, so that makes
Oh,
sense.
so I asked Twitter's Grok. It's the new AI within
Hmm.
Twitter, playing around with that. And it said this. So imagine you have a special super secure piggy bank where you keep your most valuable coins. Well, this piggy bank is so unique that it has several compartments, right? It's like little vaults, and only certain trusted people know how to open up each one. So they're saying this is how the spot ETFs, the exchange traded funds, keep their Bitcoin safe. So instead of using regular methods like a normal bank account where they're just putting all the cryptos into one account, and imagine if that got hacked, that would be crazy. So they got to take a little bit more advanced, secure methods to secure the Bitcoin. So they split the Bitcoin into different digital compartments. They make sure it's super safe. And they're saying even if something bad happens to the company managing it, your Bitcoin, in theory, is still protected and it can't get mixed up with anybody else's. This is what they're saying. This is how it's working. This is what the SEC says they need to put these kind of things in place. Is that accurate for the long term? I don't know. This is what they're saying to us, to our faces, but I don't always trust what they say. But that's kind of how the ballpark of that's going to work. Is I kind of reminds me of when the Winklevi, the twins, right? When they went out and they had their Bitcoin, and then they said, "Well, here's our first half of our code for this, and we're going to go put this over here and this vault over here and this over." So they didn't put all their X amount of Bitcoins into one basket. They split it up into multiple places and different vaults and different banks and their passcodes and different places. Has to be a nightmare to have to go through all of that. But early on, you had to do some of that stuff. So hopefully now these things are secure and we don't hear like, oh my God, the Fidelity, ETF for Bitcoin was hacked. Like we don't want that. So so it's going to be interesting to watch this.
We definitely do not want that. You mentioned Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, before, and he is saying that Bitcoin is bigger than any government. Well, welcome to the party, dude, because we've been saying this for, well, forever. Of course, Satoshi knew this. He's calling Bitcoin digital gold, and quote, unlike gold where we manufacture new gold, we're almost at the ceiling of most of the amount of Bitcoin that could be created. And he also sees value in Ethereum ETFs, which I think explains, why people are bullish right now in Ethereum. And we're seeing that even though Bitcoin has been falling, Ethereum is holding up at $2,500 or so.
Because there'll probably be an ETF popping off for that just before we know it. And so I don't know what made Fink change his mind on Bitcoin, but he's saying it's not a currency; it's digital gold. It's an asset class, right? This is what's going on this.
Look at this right here, Trav. He says if you're in a country where you're fearful of your future, fearful of your government, or you're frightened that your government is devaluing its currency by too many deficits, you can say this is a great potential long-term store of value. It's digital gold. It's so interesting because, BlackRock has so many deals with the government and they're well aware
Yeah.
of why we should be fearful
Some are
of our
saying it's the
government.
investment arm of the Rothschild family, right?
Yeah.
I think they're holding over $10 trillion. They could literally come in and buy up everything as much as possible and just do crazy shit to the market because they have so much money available to them. It's crazy.
So this is happening. And what's going to happen, when Trump was president, he wasn't a fan of crypto. And at least one lawmaker thinks that he'll be a lot more crypto friendly in a second term. Tom Emmer, U.S. House of Representatives from Minnesota, says that this could bring about more favorable regulation. And I think that that's probably likely because of the ETFs, right? Now that these are recognized as true investment vehicles by some of the world's biggest financial institutions, then he would want ultimately what's best for the economy. Of course, they're not going to let him be president.
Well, I mean, if he did come back, it could generate some ridiculous returns and big highs for Bitcoin. There's a lot of people in the crypto market that like Trump, right? They don't necessarily, maybe they don't necessarily like Trump, but they like freedom. They don't like censorship. They like things to be decentralized. I mean, we know the general how people are when it comes to wanting to be in the crypto space, what our ethos is. And so we don't like control. We don't like a lot of these mechanisms that traditional government puts on us, and even the Federal Reserve Bank and all these other things that are going on. So, originally, I don't know that he knows enough about it because it didn't seem like he knew a lot about it before. And so, I mean, Scaramucci was a dude who was there for a little while, and then he left and he became big into crypto, right? But is Trump listening? I don't know. He's getting old now. What is he, 76, 78?
I think he's 80 or 79 or 80. I don't know. Looks pretty good though for an old dude. Anyway, that's enough political commentary. Of course, before the ETF was approved, allegedly the SEC Twitter X account was hacked and an announcement came out prematurely. Now there's been some investigation into what actually happened, and they're saying that they never lost access to the account, even though we believed it was a rogue account that posted it. They tweeted on last Tuesday that the agency approved a number of spot Bitcoin exchange traded fund applications, and the message was shown to be faked by somebody who was able to gain access with a phone number saying that there was no 2FA on it. And now they're saying that they never lost access to the account because they deleted the fake post and they shared an update within 30 minutes.
So maybe it was just premature Bitcoinification over there. And they were like, yeah, the ET, oh, wait, hold on. You got to wait till tomorrow. Because it was weird because he came out and he said, what was wild was he said, oh, the Bitcoin thing's been approved. Bitcoin shot up. And then Gary Gensler said, no, we're not approving it. And it tanked.
90 million in liquidations right there. 90 just from that. And they're here to protect us, gang. SEC is here to protect you and your money. And they put out fake news and cost people $90 million. So there you go. That's your government at work.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gary Gensler.
There's some interesting news, though. It's some potential news. So, back in the day, we've talked about stock to flow model. So what does that mean is the amount of Bitcoin that are in circulation versus the new inflow of Bitcoin that's going to be created after the halving, right? So after the halving, half of it, less Bitcoin's coming in. So, they're talking about a potentiality based on the Bitcoin stock to flow model, which has been relatively accurate historically, it's saying that, there's the potential of $532,000 Bitcoin price this cycle. And that seems really high to me, Joel.
So the stock to flow model is this idea. It examines the relationship between supply production and the current stock available, essentially calculating Bitcoin's value through scarcity. So the guy who is talking about using the S2F model in 2019, when Bitcoin was 4,000, he said it was going to hit 55. Well, it hit 69 on that next run. And now with Bitcoin above 40, he's saying the same model predicts $532,000 of Bitcoin after the 2024 halving takes place. Here's why I think it's possible. I think it's unlikely, but I think it's possible because we have now entered the mainstream, right? If you've got less than 1% that are pioneers, less than 6% that are early adopters, that means the great multitude live in the middle, in the mainstream. And if we're just at the beginning of that, and this thing starts moving after the halving, like math tells us it's going to, then I could easily see everybody. Like this won't just be like last time where, mom and pop wanted to jump in and play with a little bit. Now that it's being legitimized, who's not going to want to play and catch this bull run? And so that could move the price real fast.
If they are holding the Bitcoin in those ETF funds, right? Well, now we know that's not the case with gold, right? And so we know that's not the case with silver. They're not holding it. And so if they are holding it and then they have to